So first of all, I want to wish everyone, we always say the best of health. We know that these are challenging times. We're so excited that everyone took some time to get together with us. And Michael and I were chatting earlier. And, I've known Michael since 2005 when I joined the company. And Michael and Debbie were some of the first people that I met, the first distributors who taught me how to use Shazandra and a lot of these amazing products because I had no idea about the products. I didn't know how to take them. I knew the direction. So Michael has been an amazing trainer for many years, and it was so appropriate because he helped us develop the global nutrition philosophy. Michael, thank you for taking time to be on this call with us. So first of all, I want to shout you out, Michael.
Yeah, well, thank you. And it's awesome, and it's an honor and a privilege and a pleasure to be on with everybody. And any day of the week, let alone today, it's extraordinary to be. I'm looking at my screen, 3,500 people, including corporate staff, excuse me, and distributors and potentially our clients and preferred members, and it's just absolutely extraordinary. And I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to spend some time with you and inside of this topic, which obviously is timely, but this is really a forever topic for all of us, as far as I'm concerned, and it has been from the beginning. And for those that don't know, I've been using Herbalife's nutrition for almost 30 years with a healthy diet and exercise, and it's been absolutely extraordinary. So, Doc, I'm going to hand it back to you because we've got information, education, and awareness to bring to everybody, and why don't we jump in?
You got it. I love it. And Michael, as we discussed earlier, we want this to be conversational. Usually when we're presenting, often you and I are in the studio shooting a video, or we're on stage or what have you at an LDW. What we really want to make sure is people find this information memorable, that it's informative, and that it really is functional. So we're going to be chatting back and forth, everybody. This is not a traditional training. Clearly, I'm in my bedroom with the shutters back here. Michael, you're in your home. We're just very grateful for all of you. So we're going to get into it. And I think, Ruben, I think you're driving the presentation. So first of all, Michael, we'll be chatting back and forth, and we want people to submit their questions in the Q&A. If you want to throw something in the chat that's positive, great, but questions go in the Q&A. But we want to frame this as something relatively straightforward, okay? So the immune system is very complex, Michael, as we've discussed before, and we don't want to get too much into the details in our next 40 minutes. But think of this: every single day when we wake up and we're getting out of bed, viruses, bacteria, fungi, which is the plural for fungus, right? Fungi, they're all trying to attack us. They're basically trying to get in the body to establish sort of some residence. And there's so many layers of protection that keep us healthy, and nutrition is a big part, which is what we're discussing today. All right, so when you think of the immune system, it's a very complex thing. We're going to simplify it on this call, and we're going to keep it to nutrition. So if you're looking at this slide, our bodies have this vast network of cells that work together to protect us. Think of these invading armies trying to come in and sort of like wreak havoc on our bodies. We've got a huge set of sort of defense systems, and when we feed those defense systems good nutrition, then they're really strong and they can stand up. So as soon as these invaders are detected, the immune system is activated, and good nutrition sort of keeps it on point. Okay, so Michael, I wanted to kick it off with that. And again, you're always I call you my distributor kaleidoscope. You're the one who can you're my reference for making sure that this makes sense and is functional information.
Yeah, well, and it already is. And if we're looking at the illustration here, there's the outside environment and everything trying to penetrate the skin, and then there's different levels of defense within the body, right?
Exactly.
And I love it because nutrition as a topic, not one this or that, is really at the heart of the conversation today. So go ahead.
Yeah, and Mike, it's interesting, Michael, you just said skin. So just think of the skin as a barrier protection. Right away, our skin does such an important job, just keeping bacteria, viruses, and fungi out. So if someone gets a cut, clearly they have to address that because that's a route of entry. So the immune system, as we're going to discuss it, is really about when we eat food and we eat our Herbalife products, the nutrients in that food and products are strengthening lots of different things in the body. So that's what we're going to get into, okay? So we call this optimal nutrition, supporting our immune health. And for any of you who've been in Herbalife for at least a year, last year in the extravaganza and the LDWs and STSs, all types of events around the world, we discussed optimal nutrition, and we discussed optimizing that with the global nutrition philosophy. So we don't want to bore you here, but I'm going to show you some words here. And Michael, these dietary nutrients we're going to talk about starts with protein, fiber. These are all in the products, by the way, okay? And we're going to address that. Omega-3 fats, which are the healthy fats, vitamins A, B, C, D, E, and these phytonutrients. So Michael, I want to sort of tee this up by mentioning the specific nutrients that we're going to get into, and then we're going to talk about products and how those support the immune system. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Cool.
And if we go to the next slide, it's not what I thought it was, which is fine. So why don't you take it away?
I love it. So we always, in Herbalife, we talk a lot about filling the gaps, especially the doctors and the dietitians, because, you know, we know that everyone on this call is using products. They're taking their shakes, tea, their aloe, their cell activator, all the products that they love. When you're encountering a new customer or a potential new distributor, they're often on the Western diet, the modern diet, which is filled with high calories, high sugar, processed food. It's not rich in nutrients the way Herbalife products are, right? So often they're not eating wisely, and that is what we call nutritional deficiencies. They may have a lot of calories. They're having pizza, hot dogs, soda, lots of calories. They may be overweight. They look like they're getting nutrients, but they're not. They're actually starved, so there may be actual deficiencies of basic nutrients. So now, these nutritional deficiencies can cause problems. We talked about optimal nutrition. That can suffer because you're not getting those nutrients. So the modern diet is low in these key nutrients. That's throughout North America and beyond. And we know that it's insufficient in protecting the immune system. So think, if you're not having a good diet, bad immune function, and we're more susceptible to all these invading pathogens. Does that make sense, Michael?
Sure, absolutely.
Cool. Okay, what were you going to say, Michael? You can kick this off. Was this the slide you wanted?
Yeah, well, I thought it was going to be this slide, you know. But if you think about it, and for a lot of people on the line, you know, your relationship with Herbalife may go even past my almost 30 years and potentially up to 40 years that the company has been here. And, you know, our founder, Mark Hughes, really had the right thought process, because this global nutrition philosophy is really although we brought language to it, okay, over the last 6-7 years, really the philosophy has been intact for almost 4 decades, okay? And so if you think about it, and I'll just kind of end it here on this, is that if you think about when someone gets on our core nutrition, right, what the body needs with the proper ratios, which we're going to break down, or you're going to break down for us. And just as an example, someone who's looking to lose weight and, you know, does 2 healthy shakes, right, eating a colorful, sensible meal, they're hydrating, they got the right amount of fiber and everything, you know, they're immediately going to help balance what you spoke about, the deficiency in nutrition, okay, taking things out. And so we have already at one level been doing not only really well, just extraordinary, you know, from my perspective, of supporting us all along the way, of impacting our immune system. Obviously, we're bringing light to it today. But so this, at one level, Doc, it occurs to me like this is nothing new for us.
Right.
Balance our nutrition, and the global nutrition philosophy, you know, is really speaks to it. So I'll give it back to you.
Michael, I love that. And I think that should be our theme as we're getting into the nutrients and the products. The theme, which I love, you touched on, is this is what we've had. Herbalife has had this for 40 years. Okay. So we've had great products which support immune function. This is nothing new, but we just want people to understand, especially as people are getting questions in these times, right? These recent times. So there you have it. Many of you have seen this. If you're a relatively new distributor, you understand, you've probably seen the product catalog, you understand the global nutrition philosophy. Very simply, if you're brand new, you don't know, if you've never heard that, it's simply Herbalife's reference. It's our recommendations for how you eat, how you exercise, how Michael just said that, how you do all these things that you see in these bubbles. So we're going to keep it pretty straightforward. This is our reference. And within the reference, we're going to get into the nutrients. So if we can go next slide, please. Okay. Keys to healthy living. Now, we're going to be talking about the green box here, Michael, the balanced nutrition. Now, we got so excited about getting you, Michael, and hopefully more distributors on these calls. We want to do the blue box too in future calls. Maybe next week, we've got to start getting more folks on the calls, more specialists to talk about it. But we want to talk about exercise, stress management, sleep, socialization, because these all fit together for immune function. What we're talking about right now on this training call, balanced nutrition. Okay, so we're going to get into the nutritional aspect in future calls very soon. We're doing these other components, okay? So, great. So here's our sort of 3 lanes we're gonna be driving in. Macronutrients, and we're gonna keep this pretty simple, the big nutrients, the proteins, fats, carbohydrates. Micronutrients, think of these as, I call them the small nutrients that are cofactors, vitamins, minerals, trace elements. You gotta eat these every day, okay? You can't breathe them in. And phytonutrients, which many of you are familiar with, this, I always say, is essential. Mark Hughes, the founder of the company. When we put on this pin in corporate every day, it's the aloe vera leaf. It's a botanical. It's a plant nutrient. It's a plant with nutrients. This is what Mark started the company with, right? This insignia. So the trademark of Herbalife, no other company really had this. I'd say really no global company was doing this in 1980, phytonutrients, and we're going to get into those, okay? So Michael, does that make sense? The 3 lanes, macro, micro, phyto.
Absolutely. It just is helping to break down. And I love, I mean, I know you're going to get into it, but, just inside the macronutrients are the proper ratios, which I love because our company does it so well. So why don't you take it back and let's get going?
You got it. We'll go to the first one, protein. Now, we love protein, and we joke a lot about protein, about, people on Instagram showing their results. Now we say, when Dr. Heber's doing push-ups on stage, that's protein, right? The results of protein is what you have your before and after, because protein supports lean muscle mass. But here's the important thing with immune function. There is a clear association with lean muscle mass and immune function. In fact, when people lose just 10% of their lean muscle mass, immune function is compromised, and it's easier to get sick from those invading pathogens and common things like coughs, colds. So it's very important that we're supporting our immune function through supporting lean muscle mass. So here you have our protein-based products in Herbalife, which support lean muscle. And of course, we're not just talking about Herbalife 24 supporting lean muscle. When you see Samantha and Dr. Dana and everyone talking about sports, it's really about basic nutrition, as you were just saying, Michael, you were alluding to. So our protein drink mix, our Formula One, the bars, all the PPP, which is such a essential product. So all these things help support protein, and you can't have protein manufactured in the body. We must eat it every day, and there's a government minimum that is recommended in just about every single country. Now, real quickly, we're not going to make this complicated. If you have a customer and you're trying to figure out how much protein they need, just take their weight. You can do their weight in kilograms and just match it by 1. So if I'm 100 kilos, I need about 100 grams. That's baseline, okay? But let's take a look at Formula One here. Now, many of you have your product catalogs. Michael and I were discussing all the great information that's in the product catalog, and you may have your Formula One container right there with you. You're going to see a lot of this information, but Michael and I do want to highlight a few things. 17 to 24 grams of high quality protein, depending on how you make your shake. That satisfies hunger, that's going to support your lean muscle mass, and that's going to support your immune system, okay? Now, Michael, I know there's some particular things on this slide that you wanted to call out that I really think is important as it relates to immune function. What did you, I know we were talking earlier about Formula One, and you said something that was really interesting as it relates to sugar.
Yeah, well, I just think it's important. I mean, the bullet point there is suitable for diabetics, but our healthy meal, and certainly paired with the protein drink mix, is considered by government standards to be low glycemic index. A low GI meal or meal replacement. And in today's society, I think it's important that we all recognize that because oftentimes we'll get questions about our levels of sugars and how that impacts the body. And so, you know, listen, by the standards, it is safe. And then I love the bullet point that it's suitable for diabetics, which is really a key thing in today's world.
It's really important, Michael. And as we're discussing immune function right now in protein, it's crucial. Making sure your sugar stays within the normal range is a really important thing we do in the world of nutrition and medicine to keep immune function healthy. So not only is it great just for talking about people who have sugar issues, it's really important for optimal immune function. So I love that you pointed that out, and it's very important to talk about. Okay, so we love Formula One. Next slide, please. Okay, so we're still talking about the major macronutrients that are in the products, right? And in our food. We've discussed protein, essential. You've got to eat it every day. Now, healthy fats. Now, this is important because for many years, people have thought that fats are unnecessary or that we should avoid fats. Fats are essential because every cell in your body, in the cell membrane, you need healthy fats. You need fats to make up those cell membranes, and you need fats for a lot of parts of your tissue, your organ systems. So fats are important. The problem is, and this is, Michael, what I wanted to get into with you, because I know you like the holistic approach with nutrition. Historically, we humans have eaten fats in very important ratios. We call it a 1-to-1 ratio. And there's a fat called an omega-3, which you see on this slide, and there's a fat called omega-6, okay? They're both essential, and they're in these foods that you see on the slide. We usually need them in a 1-to-1 ratio. The problem with the modern diet, the pizzas, the sodas, all the things we talked about, the hot dogs and hamburgers, the omega-6 ratio is about 20 or 30 to 1, promoting inflammation, disturbing the immune system, making it easier for those pathogens to enter the body and wreak havoc. So what we want to do is drop that ratio from omega-6 so it's closer to 1-to-1 or even a 3-to-1. And guess what does that? When we're on an Herbalife program, there's very low omega-6s, and we move the omega-3s up. So, Michael, do you like this concept of ratio balancing?
And we were talking earlier, this simplicity of literally introducing the Herbalife, core nutrition program, right, to anybody's diet. And if you're taking out certain things that are high in the omega-6s, there's going to be a certain amount of natural balance of your 6s and your 3s. Will it be perfect? No. Okay. You've got to be able to, be mindful to have higher in the omega-3s than you do in the omega-6s. But, I imagine that keeping inflammation down could impact in a positive way immunity.
Absolutely.
That's fair to say.
You're spot on there, Michael. And, when I first joined the company, Dr. Heber, who is big, a lot of his research at UCLA was in inflammatory fats, as you're mentioning, in the abdomen, in the belly. So he would take, his students would take these cells in the belly. They would look at these omega-6 inflammatory fats. They were driven by omega-6, and they would try and figure out how to stop the inflammation. Anyway, the point is, when I joined the company, Dr. Heber told me one of the most amazing things about Herbalife products, Mark Hughes and the founders did not put omega-6 in the products. I mean, there's a trace little amounts. So he was suggesting to me one of the major things that he couldn't get over is when people get on Herbalife, when they're throwing out the hamburgers and fries, they immediately drop the omega-6. They're in this amazing ratio. Immune function is driven strong. So this is a really key thing that we don't discuss often.
Beautiful.
Okay, so you'll notice on the slide, so I think we made those points. Now, not only do we drop the omega-6, we want to increase the omega-3s. A lot of people are eating, their fish, ocean caught fish several times a week. They're getting their omega-3s, let's say from chia, from flax, from different, let's say, vegetarian sources. Those are good. Usually the fish the marine fish sources are a little better sometimes because they're better absorbed. Any way you're getting your omega-3s is great. Of course, we have Herbalife and we have TriShield. Fantastic ways to get your omega-3s because they're long chain fats, very well absorbed, and they help support immune function. So I wanted to make the point, we've got the protein and we've got the healthy fats supporting immune function.
What's really great, just real quick, is that I'm so proud to be not only on the products as long as I've been, but proud to be an Herbalife nutrition distributor because, as an example, Herbal Lifeline's been in the product line since 1982. It's not just like, oh, here's the new thing, let's do that. I don't know. It's just, I love our company. Back to you.
And it's true, Michael. And in many populations, researchers would look at people around the world who ate a lot of omega-3s, and they thought for many years, well, maybe it actually weakens the immune system. Quite the contrary. New research has found out omega-3s actually strengthen the immune system. So just as Mark Hughes may have known back in the 1980s, is a key component of the global nutrition philosophy. Okay, so healthy fats maintain normal blood pressure. You notice that the triglycerides, they're great claims that we can make. Now, we're getting into the third part of the macronutrient, the big nutrients. Carbohydrates are often sort of an interesting word, but people don't talk about fiber enough. I always say fiber is sometimes kind of boring, but it's really essential because we need fiber every day. We recommend 25 to 30 grams of fiber every single day. Okay, that's in just about every country. Here in North America, we know most North Americans, Canadians to Jamaicans, and all the folks in the US, they're only getting about 14 grams per day. That's very deficient. Now on Herbalife, of course, 2 scoops of active fiber complex, taking the products, you're gonna be good. So we love the fact that our products help satisfy that. But those were just some examples of fiber-rich foods that we can eat in addition to using our products, okay? So soybeans, lentils, strawberries, almonds. A lot of you mix these right into your shake, okay? So it's great. Next slide. So fiber and immunity. Now here's the really cool thing, Michael. There is strong evidence that soluble fiber, when you think about oatmeal, apples, and of course we have it in active fiber complex, it can support and modulate the various properties of the gut immune system. We call it the microbiome. And so this is a really important thing. It actually helps us support immune function.
So, I don't know. I mean, I am a college graduate with an accounting degree, but what's modular?
Majid, great question. So, everyone's got an iPhone now and everyone's tapped into the net. But when I was coming up, we all had stereo systems and you'd have the treble and the bass and you'd have the different knobs that you turn. So if you want to think about any machine that has knobs where you're going to adjust things, that's the body modulating things. When people have, let's say you're talking to a customer who eats the traditional cheeseburger, fries, and a soda, that pro-inflammatory food modulates the immune system to drive inflammation, and it actually dampens the immune system. Not good. So those folks may complain, I get sick a lot. I'm always kind of sick. Whereas in Herbalife, when you're using global nutrition philosophy, good healthy food, and of course our products in conjunction, supports, kind of modulates the immune system, especially that microbiome, and it helps support immune function. So think about modulating. I always think about it as sort of like playing with dials on even on a computer or what have you. But it's very difficult for us as a nutrition company because we don't sell medication. We don't say directly like this ingredient in this product, cures this or does this to the immune system. But we can explain how it works in concert. So that's why, we use things like properties of the gut immune system and the microbiome.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, it's fantastic. And when you're looking at the fiber, right, and having the right amount of fiber and soluble and insoluble fiber to our diet, how critical it is to, when you're saying modulate, to support, and that was there's evidence that it supports that it really does, even though we're just in the macronutrient category of, 3 words, which everybody hears every day, your protein, your fats, and your carbs. It's critical inside of how, well, I'll say it this way, as an Herbalife nutrition distributor, the simplicity of our program that's been around for a long, long time of how it can really support lots of balance going on here. So back to you.
Great point. Excellent point, Michael. And of course, one of our very popular products here, Active Fiber Complex, we were just sort of doing a shout out to. One of the top selling products, very easy to mix, taste amazing, easy to use on the go. That mix of soluble and insoluble fiber that I know many of you out in the marketplace, that's what you talk about, that mix of soluble and insoluble, which gives you 5 grams in 1 scoop. And imagine 2 scoops every day of active fiber complex will take the average person in the North American region, 14 grams takes them up to 24. And we want to get someone about 25 to 30. And then, handful of, so it's very simple when we're using the products in conjunction with a healthy diet. Okay. Now, Michael, we mentioned microbiome and you were asking about modulation. We don't want to confuse anybody, but believe it or not, everyone carries around these interesting bacteria in their gut, in their intestine. And these bacteria, when they have good gut bacteria, it actually supports the immune function. And that's what Simply Probiotic is. Okay, it's actually a way to get to replace some of the good gut bacteria to help support immune function. So that's why we actually wanted to put it in here with active fiber complex, because we're discussing the gut microbiome, that modulation of the immune function.
Super smart.
Yeah, it's great stuff. You guys, I know everyone reads about microbiome all the time, but we just wanted to explain healthy bacteria. We want to replace it. That's what Simply Probiotic does, okay? And helps support immune function. Okay, next slide. All right, so now, Michael, we finished sort of lane 1, if you will. Now we're into lane 2. We did the macronutrients. Now we're going to get into the micronutrients, specifically some of the products that have these micronutrients. And we use micronutrients in a lot of different products. We're only going to talk about specific ones that I think are important for immune health. So what are micronutrients? Well, think about these vitamins, minerals, and trace elements. You've heard of the vitamins A, B, C, D, E. The key is you have to eat them every day. Our human body cannot make vitamin C. We've got to eat it. We can't make vitamin D. We can get it from the sunlight and then help to manufacture it. We can't make vitamin E. So we've got to eat these things, and it's essential that they're in our diet program. They've got to be obtained that way, and we need an adequate micronutrient supply, because in the body, Michael, they act as kind of cofactors. There are all these chemical reactions. They're happening all over the place. And these vitamins come in and they sort of are almost keys that unlock a cascade of activity. Just think of these things like specifically vitamins A, C, E. They're antioxidants, and antioxidants truly support immune function. Everyone's sort of heard those terms before. So I wanted to mention that first, Michael. We'll get into the next slide. And here's where we're getting really sort of into the nitty gritty. Everyone knows that fruits and vegetables are rich in these nutrients. And I listed, A, C, D, and E. Think about ACE, as many of you've talked about before. ACE are those powerful antioxidants, and they are very clearly shown to support immune health. Vitamin D also has been shown to support immune health. So all of these vitamins are important. We also get into minerals and trace elements. Minerals such as zinc and selenium are really well supported in the scientific literature. Of course, iron and copper also really well supported. So these are the ingredients that we have in our products, and we like to talk about them because a great complement to your normal diet. Okay, Michael, is this making sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Good stuff. Okay, so I think we skipped one. So here are some of the products that we love talking about as micronutrients. And these are sort of core products that everyone uses. Multivitamin complex, cell activator, ExtraCal Advanced. And just to give you an example, as many of you know, I love talking about ExtraCal because a lot of people jump right to the calcium because it's ExtraCal. And often we forget about the vitamin D and magnesium. And these are so important because these help support healthy immune function. When you're using all these nutrients together. Cell activator, we talk about, as you'll see on the label, mitochondrial and nutrient absorption support. It's a fantastic product because it also has this proprietary blend, which also helps to support the body and the immune function. And of course, multivitamin complex, which is really the full complement of all the vitamins that we typically think of, the A, B, C, D, E. And those are the key nutrients that we often talk about supporting immune function. So now, yeah, go ahead, Michael.
Let me just jump in for a second. So there's 21 key nutrients in multivitamin, because you hear multivitamin, oh, I'll get a multivitamin, right? But the complement, the synergy between our macro with our shake, and the two hands is the way I make my shake in the morning and in the afternoon. And sometimes I do 3 a day and eat food based on my body type, is with my Formula One and my protein drink mix, okay? But then, as a part of the macro, and I love the fiber and the fats in there, the carbs and the fats. And now the micro with the multivitamin and cell activator, and here in North America, that is considered our cellular nutrition, which has been around for decades. And we don't always look, and we're in a heightened time, but we don't always look as like, okay, this is foundational inside of immune support, period, over and out. Okay, we're not talking today about handling anything. We're talking about raising the bar personally inside our immune support, and I love it. And I've been using these products now for 30 years consistently on a daily basis with these targeted products, and it's just a beautiful thing.
Well, Michael, this goes back to, and I want to weave your theme back into this presentation, what you started with. The point is, you've been using this products 30 years. Herbalife's been around 40 years. This is nothing new. We happen to be talking about immune health during an interesting time in our lives, but this is nothing new for Herbalife. We've been supporting the immune system with the exact same products you just described, Michael. Things like multivitamin, cell activator, extra cal. These are core products helping to support immune function as part of a healthy diet. So well said, Michael. I just want to keep bringing that point back because you said it. Nothing new. We've been doing this a long time, okay? Now, this is something that I always call essential marquees when I'm training, phytonutrients. I learned phytonutrients studying with Dr. Heber, Susan Bowerman, and all the folks over at UCLA. I didn't know what those were in medical school because they don't teach a lot of nutrition in medical school. Then I get to Dr. Heber's lab and wow, he's studying carrots and parsley and you name it, lycopene and tomatoes and incredible things. So phytonutrients simply mean fruits and vegetables or any plants outside, they have really interesting colors. And those colors are often generated as defense mechanisms when they're being struck by sunlight or oxidants in the atmosphere. So they build up these really interesting phytochemicals or phytonutrients, which when we eat them, we eat that carrot, the tomato, they help support things in the body. So that's very simple what phytonutrients are. Many of you already know this, but for the new people, I want to explain the definition. So they provide significant benefits for people who eat these plant foods. Now, the cool thing, and I love sort of picking Michael's brain about, working with Mark in the early days, because, we're so curious about how Mark chose certain products. But when you think about it, Mark simply took a lot of the nutrients in plants, fruits and vegetables, and he put them in the products and in a very easy way to consume them. So colorful fruits, vegetables, legumes, nuts, teas, whole grains, spices, you name it. These are a lot of the phytonutrients that we use in the products, okay? So next slide, you'll see some of the products. Now, we've got some great products we're gonna discuss. Best Defense, Immunity Essentials, Shazandra Plus, RoseGuard, green tea, NRG. When I first met Michael, I distinctly remember him and Debbie taking Shazandra and they put a bunch of it in my hand. Okay, I know the lawyers on the line are gonna call me right afterwards. And they're like, hey, when you're traveling and you're feeling a little bit, you can take one extra Shazandra. I won't get in trouble for that, right, Michael? But it was a great learning experience for me in terms of understanding which phytonutrients that distributors were using in the field to support their immune health, even when you're having just a great day. So Michael, any points that you want to make about these?
Let me interrupt for a second, only because I think for all of us on the line, and again, we may have guests, we may have customers, we may have a lot of different people listening from where and how you're participating with Herbalife's product line. But the product line is really not only fantastic, and I got it. I've been using the product line for 30 years, so maybe I've got some rose-colored glasses on, but I'm okay with that right now. But it really is that the depth and scope of what our line can provide for people is extraordinary. And I love the categorization that we have in the catalog, that you can really find what you're up to. Now we're focusing on immune health, and I'm going to pass it back to you. But it is at the risk of saying it's a simple line, okay? It's so sensible, and I'm so grateful for how all the formulators and the researchers and the companies put it together so that I myself can simply find what I want to go to work on, choose products, and know that the science, and know that the research, and know that it's all there. And that sits very well with me and with our children, and for Deb and I, and it's just extraordinary. And I'm not sure why that had to be right now, but guess what? We're live, and it had to be right now. So back
No,
to
it's Michael, it's perfectly said, because your point about the scientists, and clearly their label recommendations, we all follow those label recommendations. We train on the label recommendations. But I think what's really important is, and we're going to get into that right now, are what you said. It's very simple to use the products. Follow the recommendations, and we're going to get into things that, I made the joke about meeting you and Debbie, but you guys taught me what's core, what I should take every day when I was first joined 2005. I didn't know what I was doing, right? You guys taught me what to use every day, and then you taught me what to take on an as needed if I'm traveling on a long flight, and that's what we're going to get into, sort of things you use as core regular use, and things you can use like, hey, if I'm traveling somewhere and I want to sort of support the immune function. So just think of that. I love what you said, simple and easy. We'll get into the next slide. So here we're going to show, now we're going to talk about immunity essentials and best defense. Now, I know there's a lot of, clearly there's a lot of talk about this in North America because these are in high demand, and we appreciate everyone using the products and ordering more. And we know there's some logistics that we're all working out, but this doesn't take away from the, as Michael just said, the beauty and the excellence of these products. So first of all, immunity essentials. This is such an exciting product for me because it has such a great story behind it. We won't get too heavy into it because many of you heard it, but it's got vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc. Those are all specifically helping to support immune function. But what's really cool is this, sounds a little weird, the yeast fermentate called Epicor, which has been shown to support human immune function. We don't need to get into all the complexity of how it works, but it's been shown to work very well. And we've got this cool proprietary blend. So immunity essentials is something that I think about, again, back to Michael and Debbie, when they were teaching me how to use stuff on a daily basis, my core products. This is a fantastic core product, which is going to support the immune function.
Doc, let me just interrupt because it's obviously a hot topic. But, I think it's really important for all of us to understand, and I understood it right off the bat 30 years ago, that dietary supplements and nutritional products are not intended to diagnose, cure, or prevent. And I know we've said it a couple times, but it's really, really, really important for us to understand that this is not that. This is literally supporting ourselves nutritionally, making, I'm going to use the word wise choices. That might be my opinion, but I'll stick to it. Okay. Wise choices of nutrition that we're going to use to support our bodies. Do you know what I mean? And help support our immune levels as well as everything else. The power of protein that you spoke about in the very beginning and how that impacts immunity. And, and then our global nutrition philosophy. So I think it's really important that we steady ourselves inside of that when we take not such great stuff out and we add good stuff in, okay, that we do wellness pretty darn well, okay, but it's important that we understand we're looking to elevate the defense, but these are food-based products and they're also dietary supplements, and so we wouldn't consider it in any way, shape, or form to be diagnosing,
Sure.
or knocking something out.
Absolutely.
I don't know if I went overboard on that, but it's so important because it's just, number one, it's accurate. And number two, this is simply at one level being, I'm going to say from my perspective, smart choices any day of the week, let alone today.
Absolutely. Michael, and I'm going to use your phrase again. Herbalife's been doing this 40 years. Nothing new. We're just happening to talk about immunity right now. So same core products, some of the exciting new things like immunity essentials, doing the same thing, the same commitment Herbalife has delivered on for 40 years. So, and we've also got Rose Garden Schizandra. These are very exciting products because now clearly, I love it. This is beautiful, beautiful. I was gonna say puppy, but your dog is very healthy.
Yeah, well, 2 years old, but we're still distinguishing it as puppy forever. And
there you go.
Disclaimer that.
Well, these products, Michael, RoseGuard and Shazandra Plus, we have, again, the vitamin C and E, and of course, vitamin A and Shazandra Plus, because remember, that ACE, that ACE helps to support the defense against free radicals. These are your prototypical antioxidants supporting the battle against free radicals, keeping your immune function up. So those are things that are well recognized in the scientific literature. We like the fact that we're layering those in with these botanicals, RoseGuard from rosemary extract, Shazandra Plus from the Shazandra berry. And these are, again, what I call the essential Mark Hughes nutrients that sort of differentiate our company from other companies that simply do basics, right? So think
Yeah,
about how, yeah,
let me
go
go
ahead.
on. I apologize, but I mean, so these are everyday products. I mean, they could be. Again,
Absolutely.
they're not considered inside of core nutrition, inside of our macro, micro, and phyto. But at the same time, if people are looking, and I got it, we're at a particular time today, but this is, you know, I mean, personally, I've been on these products since day one. Okay, RoseGuard was not in the line on day one almost 30 years ago, but Shazandra Plus has been. And it just made sense to me back then. I'm not saying that I'm more sensible than someone else on the line. It just was like I was totally into, if I can position my body in a better way or a better space, I'm going to go for it. And I'm going to, at least from an Herbalife distributor standpoint, I'm going to buy from my own store. So in any event.
Absolutely. No, beautifully said, Michael. I love that. Okay, so next slide. I want to make sure I'm going to be conscious of everyone's time. We're at 5:47. So great. So we want to mention a few things. So first off, on all the sort of we covered those three lanes, Michael: the macro, the micro, and the phytonutrients. And again, we're going to get into other aspects in future calls. But these three core areas help support human immune function. As Michael said many times, I keep weaving that in. Nothing new. Herbalife's been doing the same thing for 40 years. And this is the excellence of Herbalife nutrition, right? I did want to mention, very important as your company physician, that we have the disclaimer, we're not curing disease. I know that there's a lot of talk about pathogens in the environment right now. We cannot make a claim that any of these products are specifically going to, protect against a specific pathogen. Okay, so I just want to say for the new distributors, I know a lot of you folks have been in the business for a long time. Please be careful about the claims you make when you're talking to new people. We want you to be confident about this products, confident about the nutrition, but we also want to be cognizant that we live in a world where we don't want to go overboard with the claims, okay? Having said that, we've got lots of material for you and we're creating more. So we've got product highlight videos in English and Spanish. You know where to find them. You can find them online in a variety of places. And it's going to help with those approved claims I was just mentioning, the usage instructions that Michael mentioned, and the products that you can take for specific results. So all of that material is available to you as an Herbalife distributor, okay? So Michael, did you want to say anything about this in particular?
No, just that the resources are far, wide, and deep and extraordinary. And I'm so grateful for the company and for the support that we have. It's just mind boggling.
Great. And for those, so someone just mentioned, please make sure the new distributors know my title. Michael, I mentioned I've been working with you a long time. Very quickly, my training's in family medicine and clinical nutrition. So I did my board certification in family medicine, which is traditional medicine, and then clinical nutrition is a little bit more holistic, but it's what an MD does in terms of getting a board certification. So the reason why I came to Herbalife was because of this commitment to delivering very healthy nutrition to people to better their lives. So I just wanted to mention that so people understand I'm one of your corporate doctors for the new people, and I work as the vice president of training, global training. Okay. So I think we're almost done. Again, plenty for the new distributors who are on the call. Make sure you use these wonderful resources. Next slide. Okay, great. And we want to remember that Herbalife has this holistic approach to overall immune health. On this call, we specifically talked about the macro, micro, and phytonutrients. We talked about specific products. We also want to get into exercise, stress management, relaxation, sleep, and socialization. And we're going to do that hopefully very soon on another call coming up. We're working with Ruben and Lisa and the team to get that together very quickly. So we're going to have that for you. Stay tuned. But we just want you to understand this was the first part of more to come. Okay. And Michael, you were just always a phenomenal person to work with and an incredible host. Next slide. I'm gonna get to you. We're gonna finish with you, Michael. Don't worry. Okay. So one to finish with, this is our last slide, and I'm going to have Michael sign off. I just first want to say thanks to all the distributors, preferred customers, everyone out there who's using Herbalife products, who's working hard to deliver on the mission of Mark Hughes and the commitment. And Michael, I'm going to let you finish and then kick it over to Ruben to sign off, because you worked with Mark, and it's just so fitting that you sort of have the last words on this. But I want to thank everyone for participating in this call. There's more to come. Michael, over to you.
Okay, great. So number one, thank you for your clarity, for your depth, your scope, your choice of words. It's always so great being with you in how you are able to articulate and take the science and the very complex nature of things and make it very user-friendly for us. I think and I'm really honored that I was asked to join and participate. I just want to leave us all with that. Immune support is an everyday, lifetime conversation. And as things settle down, in our world, I'd like us to consider that the depth and scope of our product line is far and wide and makes a beautiful difference in our bodies. And that I just really hope that we take care of ourselves. And I know you are. And thank you for making this all happen, the logistics and the deck and everything, and to everybody at corporate for your, unwavering commitment and your 24/7 what's happening. It is just crazy in a great way. Thank you so much.